Hello guys, welcome back to Gemini Gamers. This is week number 3 of our weekly news show. This week we got a little bit of exciting news, not as exciting as last episode. If you haven't seen that one, go ahead and watch it. It'll probably be in the description or in the end title screen, so go ahead and watch that first, or you can watch it later, up to you. But I recommend you watching it first because it has a lot of interesting news. A little more interesting than this one, but pretty close, I guess. But you should go watch it because it has a couple important things that you should probably see. So today, what the blog started off with, they always start with some historical thing that happened this week, but in the past. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. So basically, this Sunday, John Glenn is the anniversary for John Glenn when he came down on the Discovery Space Shuttle, which is a couple years ago, probably around maybe 20 years, I would think, maybe less actually. Well, probably 20 years. So yeah, he came down. If you don't know who John Glenn, he is the first American basically to orbit the Earth. Very important for American space history, but not that important for world space history because Yuri Gagarin was the first one to actually orbit the Earth as a Soviet Union cosmonaut. So he took all the glory for that one, basically. But very important still for at least us the Americans. So very good, very cool. I like it that they're posting new stuff about historical things. But anyway, let's get into the good part, the development news. So this week has been there's a lot of stuff here, but not a lot of exciting. But towards the end, it gets a little exciting. Halfway through the video, probably. So let's see here. So for the first thing that they talked about is basically they did a lot of optimization for the Making History expansion, which if you don't know what that is basically they're making an expansion for the game. It's not probably, at this point they haven't said anything about it, but it's probably not going to be part of the 1.4 update, which I talked about last episode. This is why I'm telling you to go watch it, because I talk a lot more about it last episode. So I believe that it's going to be released at some point soon, because it's textures and parts. So I don't think it's hard to develop and implement into the actual update that came out recently, which is a 1.3.1. And making a whole new update for it doesn't make sense. It does kind of make sense, but it doesn't really make sense because of the reason that the 1.4 update is barely coming. They barely even announced they're working on it, which means that there's not really much work on it yet. So it's gonna take at least a couple months to probably get out. I don't know how speedy the new development team is, since there was a couple changes to it. If you don't know, happened a couple months ago. So I don't know. It's probably gonna be a month or two at least before you see the 1.4 update, which sucks. It does, but we have to wait for it. Good things you have to wait for. So anyway, so yeah, they optimized it. Not really the part of the Making History expansion, but they optimized the mission builder, which is basically, if you don't know by now, you can make your own missions for other people to do them. If you don't, like contracts, kind of like a contract system, but a little more hands-on for the player at least, because you can make your own missions, which means that you can challenge yourself or your friends or people in general. Like in case like I were to like, oh, okay, I want you to go to Duna, I want you to land, I want you to deliver this payload when you land, and then I want you to take off, go to Ike, and then take a surface sample, and then take a rover to Ike or something like that. Drive around, and you won. You win the mission. You complete the mission. That's basically what it is. You can set your own objectives for other people to do, or yourself, challenge yourself. And yeah, so apparently it was a little hard for people to actually get the stuff organized. Actually create a mission before. At least for the developers. Not for us. We're not gonna see the old system, but basically they made a new UI that lets you actually make those missions a lot easier and a lot simpler, so yay, I guess. And they basically had a bit of a optimization issue with the game, where I guess you're going to be able to move around and choose things where you want to land and stuff. Like if I want you to land that island over there, that one over there, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to actually go in there and set a marker there or something like that. And apparently that took a while because, in this game, when you zoom in fast to the planet, textures don't load, at least here, like, when you're looking at terrain, especially when you're going in for landing and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the issue with that. So they were having issues with performance, and you know how that goes. Performance issues are not good. People get angry all the time, and so yeah, that's basically what they did, I guess. They basically just make everything work a little more smoother, and basically the way they did it, I should probably say how. They basically had to change the time where your game loads up, and if you know how the game starts really struggling when you get really close and it has to load it. So they basically did it a little bit higher up, so the game actually loads textures a little bit faster, a little bit not faster, but just at a better time for you, the player, instead of freaking loading them when you're about to land. So yeah, a little smoother, nothing too impressive, but at least a little better, right? So better than nothing, right? And alright, so for the third thing, they added a new organization system for you to organize your missions and textures. Basically that means that you have a list now. But I don't know how the old system was. No one ever saw it. So basically it's a list now that branches off to other things, where sometimes you want to have a mission inside a mission. So like an extra, like, oh, if you want to show you're a real badass, you can do this, right? Or stuff like that. So, stuff like that. So now a list probably that branches off to other lists of objectives, where you have a line where it says, oh, you have to land on the moon, then you have to run for 100 meters, and you have to take this certain experiment, and then it branches off where you could do the experiment in different areas if you want, stuff like that. So yeah, that's enough for the mission thing. And then the second thing that they did that's very cool is they talked about their new fairing textures that they're making. They didn't really show the new textures, but they did show some improvements they made for the fairing system. Alright, so apparently it used to be really hard for modders to create their own textures because of the weird UV map they had made. The developer's fault. And this answers a lot of questions, I'm pretty sure, for all of you and me, including me, because I always ask myself, why weren't there any interesting textures for fairings out there, even though they're a part in the game, and there's hundreds of people that mod the game every day. And why weren't there any new textures, right? There was a couple, but it doesn't make sense, right? People would probably put funny things on them, like a snack or something, whatever. And that was caused because they had a very bad UV mapping texture on it. So I'll post the picture on it on the screen right now, so you can see it. The old one. This is the old one right now you're seeing, and you can see it's a little weird. If you know textures, this looks weird, right? I've done a little bit of textures, and if I had to actually texture something to this, I'll be really, 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 really annoyed with it, because it doesn't look easy to texture. So anyway, as you can see, it has a little distortion, especially where the texture from a specific point ends. So boom, that sucks. So anyway, I'm gonna post the new one on the screen right now, and as you can see, it's a little more balanced. Maybe for you normal people that don't know anything about texture, some won't be able to really tell what it matters. But anyway, the UV map is a little more, it's really a lot more organized. It's like you would expect the UV map to look like. So expect a lot when this little expansion comes out. Expect a lot of new textures for the fairings, because it looks a lot easier to texture now. And I thank the developers for that, making the game a little more mod friendly, even if it's just a part like that. But a part could really help. So yeah, so that's that for the UV mapping. And yeah, I'll probably be taking off that picture off the screen now, or probably did already. So anyway, the third thing they did to the second thing really, to the fairing textures, is that they added in a new bump map, which basically adds depth to your parts, which basically makes them look a little more 3D like, a little more realistic. Not really realistic because it's a game, but you know what I mean. Just a little more like you could actually reach out and like touch it, and feel it. You know what I mean? Not a texture wise, but like like has more depth to it. Like you can see here that the window is a little bit further away from this beam here, so yeah, kind of like that. So the window doesn't start here. The window's like up here, somewhere like that. So that's what I mean by depth. And kind of like when you actually are looking at an engine or something like that, you can see the engine curves in a little bit, right? So stuff like that. Makes the part look a little more 3D like, a little more beautiful, I guess you could say. And yeah, and fairing caps now get their own textures. I guess the little top part in the image you probably saw before has a little pointy part that probably gets their own texture too. And basically it did the new bump map by using a lighting effect in the game already. So cool, very cool. And for the last couple things, not as exciting, but yeah, cool, whatever. Well, there's one more exciting thing. So they did more work on the textures in general for the expansion, the 1.872 parts. So if you didn't know, the expansion includes all those parts. Very cool. And then the last two things here. So they're updating on the update 1.4, which is gonna be a while. They're gonna do an update on the Unity engine that they're using. So the Unity engine was updated to the 2017.1 version, which didn't really include any performance improvements, but it did include a couple of one in particular, a new particle system, the Shuriken particle system, which will be implemented to the new update. And I'll be showing you some of the stuff that can be created with the Shuriken particle system on screen right now. I'll probably be borrowing it from other people's channels, and I'll be probably giving them credit for it. So I'll probably post a link for that at the description below if you want to know about that. So yeah, higher definition, probably more in-depth particles now that you can do that. And yeah, it's gonna make the game look a lot more beautiful. Very cool. And then the one last thing that people are interested in is the game demo update. So they're updating the demo. If you play the demo, it's an old version of the game, and things have changed a lot since that thing came out. So they're making it into the 1.3.1 update. So yay, I guess. Demo, right? I may show it to you a little bit or whatever. Up to you. But you can leave a comment if you want me to do a review of that when it comes out or something like that. Anything else? So, and the last thing is basically for the console, KSP console version, they did a couple controller updates and a couple updates for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're starting to re-enter the atmosphere here, so I'm running out of time in terms of actually talking. So yeah, if you haven't seen, if you are a little confused as to why this planet is different, this is part of the Galileo expansion pack, mod pack, whatever. I forgot the exact Galileo planet pack. Yeah, so I have a series with it if you want to learn and explore this new system, which includes a lot more planets, and I mean a lot more planets. Like, a lot of planets, right? And the giant red star over here. Go ahead and look for that in my channel. I'll probably be linking it in the description as well. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave a link to the blog if you want to go ahead and read that in the description. It has been a very exciting news week. This past 2 weeks have been very good. I appreciate all the support, the comments, and like and all that stuff. Share this video so other people get to catch up with the actual news of the game and actually get to enjoy the game a little more now that the new stuff is coming out. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you all in the next week, which will be week 4, and hopefully we have another big news day. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all later.